Developing news coming out today as we're hearing that President Donald Trump has made an announcement regarding the Russia-Ukraine conflict, to which Russia in just the past hour has responded and said this is going to lead to escalation, not between Russia and Ukraine, but between Russia and the United States, which could lead to war. Now, I'm going to share with you the latest video footage, the headlines, the articles, so you can see it for yourself. Take a look with me. Coming out just in the past 30 minutes, Russian ex-President Medvedev says Trump's Ukraine ultimatum could lead to war. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with Trump's own country. Medvedev says the United States is being threatened with war by Russia. Now, Trump sets a new deadline. This is what has sparked all of this conflict. You can see this coming out in just the past hour. It has been updated today, July 28th, 2025. Trump sets a new deadline of 10 or 12 days for Russia to act on Ukraine, saying you must put an end to this war, and now. And take a look at this, coming out just 42 minutes ago. So again, to clarify, this is breaking news coming out today, July 28th. Zelensky has praised Trump for a clear stance in a shortened deadline for Russia, as he is saying it is time to end the Russia-Ukraine war. The 50-day deadline has come to an end. It is now going to be 10 or 12 days, and he's saying get it done or there's going to be consequences. And Russia already responding in just the past hour today, and they are saying you could be leading the United States into war. Man, let me know your thoughts. I'm going to cover for you the video footage and the articles so you can see it for yourself. But what do you think we are going to be going from here? Is the United States going to be entering into war? If you think so, put war in the comments. If you think we're going to be able to stave it off and avoid and come to some sort of negotiation, peace deal agreement, put peace in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. But let's go ahead and get right to it so that way you can see it for yourself. And if you appreciate the updates, the breaking news coming out, I'm going to put it on the screen, read right from it. I hyperlink all the sources so you can see the dates, where they're coming from. If you appreciate that, before we dive in, take a quick second, hit that like button, that thumbs up, helps out the channel a ton while we're live. I appreciate it. Now, in addition to that, to stay up to date, it's totally free. Why not? Hit that subscribe button, turn on that notification bell. I'm going to keep you up to speed on everything so you know exactly what is going on. And if you believe that we're going to be going to war, a lot of people are concerned about what's going to be happening with the economy, our finances. I wanted to mention very quickly before we dive into the video footage here, my friends over at Lear Capital. If you have been thinking about investing in silver or gold, putting aside some of your funds into that, a safe haven, a protection, a hedge against potential inflation, give them a call. You'll speak to a real person. It's totally free information, no obligation. They'll send you over pamphlets to give you all the knowledge you need about investing in gold and silver. So give them a call at 1-800-411-2430 or go to learram.com. I'm going to pin this in the comments for you. They've been helping people out for over 25 years. They've done over $3 billion in trusted transactions. I've had their CEO on here, Kevin Demerit, several times. Great people over at Lear Capital. You can get free information, no obligation. You can just give them a call at 1-800-411-2430 or go to learram.com. And they're going to be able to help you out with information on gold and silver. But with that being said, let's get to some video footage so you can see it for yourself. As Trump has said, 10 to 12 days, that's it. And we're going to be seeing where we go from here. And Russia is saying the ultimatum that you are putting on us, this is going to take us to war. And I'm still seeing war pouring into the comments. People saying we are about to enter into war. We will see. Let's take a look at the video footage.
Russia moved up the deadline. It's now 10 or 12 days. Is the sanction the same, that you're going to slap a 100% tariff on anybody who does business with Russia?
So what I'm doing is we're going to do secondary sanctions unless we make a deal. And we might make a deal. I don't know. You don't know. It's we've done so many peace deals. This is the one I started out with, and you know, this is, I know President Putin called me. He wanted to know if I could help him with Iran. I said, no, I don't need your help with Iran. I need your help with Russia. And so that's the one deal that continues to linger. And you know, we're losing 5,000. They're losing. I'm not losing. You're not losing. But 5,000 Russian and Ukrainian kids a week are dying. And that's not mentioning the people that are dying also in towns where, you know, he's lobbing missiles into certain towns like Kiev. And He's got to make a deal. It's too many people are dying. It's a really bloody war. And the 5 is now, they're really telling me that number is obsolete. It's like 7.
That's terrible.
So you have 7,000 Russian and Ukrainian soldiers dying every single week for no reason whatsoever. So you would think, based on common sense, you would think he'd want to make a deal. We'll find out.
Have you had any other Ukrainian channels conversations with the Russians reiterating this?
In what?
Reiterating this new pressure and deadline.
Yeah, and we're going to have I mean, well, you're the press. I'm reiterating it to you. Yeah, I'd say 10 to 12 days. I'll announce it probably tonight or tomorrow. But there's no reason to wait. If you know what the answer is going to be, why wait? And it would be sanctions and maybe tariffs, secondary tariffs. You know what a secondary tariff is. And look, the Russian economy, I don't want to do that to Russia. I love the Russian people. They're great people. I don't want to do that to Russia. But this thing, they're losing a lot of Russians. They've lost 1 million Russians. And that's the, sons. That's the sons and daughters of Russian families. They leave the house. They go, bye, mom, bye, dad, and then they get blown away. And Ukrainian, too. Look at Ukraine. It's a disaster what's happened there. But it continues to go on. As you know, we made a deal where the European Union is essentially involved, but it's NATO, and we're supplying weapons to NATO. NATO's now paying because the United States, because of Biden's in for $350 billion, the European nations are in for about $100 billion. Should be the opposite way, by the way, because we have a big ocean in between. Should be the opposite way. But I think that eventually something's going to happen. It should happen fast. So many people are dying. When I settled out with Congo and Rwanda, they lost almost 8 million people. And it just made so much sense. And if I didn't get involved, they wouldn't have done it. They weren't even thinking about settling it. It was just going on forever. And nobody could go into those territories because they'd get killed. They'd get killed. And now they have I hear it's a whole different ballgame. We settled it. This is one that should be settled. Russia, Ukraine. This is one that really should be settled.
Scotland's First Minister has today set out his plans for a second referendum on Scottish independence. Can I get your reaction to that as someone with deep ties to Scotland? Prime Minister, can I also get your thoughts on that? If the SNP do win a majority in next year's election, then they have the right.
So there you have it, you guys. Now they're switching to something else, but I wanted to stay focused on what is happening right now with these threats for Russia and the United States. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Now, this is breaking news, as I mentioned, coming out today, July 28th. This article coming out on the response that Russia has already given. So in the past couple of hours, we saw Trump make this announcement, but now we're already seeing the response coming out. Let's go ahead and take a look here. As it says, Russian ex-President Medvedev says Trump's Ukraine ultimatum could lead to war. And this is the one that has just come out today. You just saw the video footage. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with Trump's own country, the United States, Medvedev says. Now, this article says former Russian President Dmitry Medvedev said on Monday today that U.S. President Donald Trump was playing the ultimatum game with Russia and that such an approach could lead to war involving the United States. Each new ultimatum is a threat and a step towards war, not between Russia and Ukraine, but with Trump's own country, Medvedev wrote in a post on social media. Medvedev, deputy chairman of Russia's Security Council, also said Trump should remember that Russia is not Israel or Iran. Wow, let me know your thoughts. Getting very aggressive with the tone and saying you're not messing with the Middle East. You are threatening Russia. Trump said on Monday today that he was disappointed in Russian President Vladimir Putin's failure to end the war in Ukraine, and that he was reducing the deadline to agree a peace settlement from 50 days to 10 or 12. And you just saw the video footage on that. We're also going to be looking at some more commentary on that here in just a second, some video footage. Also on Monday today, Medvedev said a framework trade agreement struck between the European Union and the United States was anti-Russian, likening it to a de facto ban on buying Russian oil and gas. The U.S. struck the deal with the EU on Sunday, yesterday, imposing a 15% import tariff on most EU goods. Now, Ursula von der Leyen, president of the European Commission, said in a statement afterwards that the agreement would help the bloc fully phase out Russian fossil fuels in favor of American alternatives. Purchases of U.S. energy products will diversify our sources of supply and contribute to Europe's energy security. We will replace Russian gas and oil with significant purchases of U.S. LNG, oil, and nuclear fuels, von der Leyen said. Now, Russia has repeatedly said U.S. LNG is much more costly than Russian LNG. The EU, which has imposed sweeping sanctions on Moscow over its war in Ukraine, has long been trying to buy less Russian oil and gas. Medvedev said Trump has wiped the floor with the EU, but that the agreement was not good for Russia either. Of course, the deal is clearly anti-Russian in nature, prohibiting the purchase of our oil and gas, Medvedev wrote on Telegram. He predicted the fallout of Europe and its citizens would be damaging, as they would have to pay more for their energy. One can only feel sorry for ordinary Europeans, Medvedev said. So there you have it. That was the response that we saw from Russia coming out on this regarding the deal taking place. And they also said that these threats, this ultimatum to get this war done right away, he said this is leading us closer to war. Now, let's go ahead and take a look at this ultimatum that was issued by Trump today as well. Now, you can see this coming out just 1 hour ago today, July 28, 2025. Trump sets a new deadline of 10 to 12 days for Russia to act on Ukraine. Now, the article says U.S. President Donald Trump set a new deadline on Monday today of 10 to 12 days for Russia to make progress toward ending the war in Ukraine or face consequences, underscoring frustration with Russian President Vladimir Putin for the 3.5-year-old conflict. Trump has threatened both sanctions on Russia and buyers of its exports unless progress is made. The fresh deadline suggests the U.S. president is prepared to move forward on those threats after previous hesitation to do so. So that is coming out just a little while ago. We saw that video footage. And also, let's take a look at this. Zelensky saying he is very happy with this move by President Donald Trump, putting the pressure on Russia. Zelensky praises Trump for a clear stance in a shortened deadline for Russia. Now, this article from Reuters originally says Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky praised U.S. President Donald Trump on Monday today for his expressed determination in calling for a shortened deadline and making progress for an end to Russia's war with Ukraine. A clear stance and expressed determination by the President of the United States, right on time, when a lot can change through strength for real peace, Zelensky wrote on X social media platform. I thank President Trump for his focus on saving lives and stopping this horrible war, he wrote. In his nightly video address, Zelensky again praised Trump's particularly significant statement in the light of Russia's constant attempts to inflict pain on Ukraine through airstrikes on its cities. Ukraine, he said, saw the imposition of tough sanctions on Russia as a key element in ending the war. Russia pays attention to sanctions, pays attention to such losses, he said. Ukraine is ready to work productively with the United States to work with President Trump to end the war with dignity and a secure, lasting peace, he wrote. Wow. So let me know your thoughts. Are you glad to see this aggressive approach by Donald Trump? If you are, drop a 47 in the comments for support for the Trump administration. If you're not glad to see this and you think this is going to be taking us to war, put war in the comments. Let me know your thoughts. But let's take a look at some more updates coming out on this commentary just in the past couple of hours, as we're hearing that Trump has put this ultimatum on Russia to end the war, and Russia responding back. What you are doing could lead to war with the United States and Russia. Let's go ahead and take a look.
First, senior White House correspondent Jackie Heinrich is in Edinburgh, Scotland. Jackie.
Harris, President Trump said he's going to make this announcement tonight or tomorrow, that Putin has 10 or 12 days to get this done. But he already effectively sent that message, telling reporters who were in the meeting with UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer that there's just no sense in giving Putin the full 50 days because he already knows what the end result's going to be at the end of that timeline.
I'm disappointed in President Putin. Very disappointed in him. So we're going to have to look, and I'm going to reduce that 50 days that I gave him to a lesser number because I think I already know the answer what's going to happen.
To Scotland, visiting the president. Trump said the consequence if Russia does not agree to a deal will be sanctions and maybe secondary sanctions on countries doing business with Russia. That would have big impacts for major purchasers of Russian oil like China, India, and Brazil. And President Trump also revealed something that Putin won't be getting and why.
He wants to do trade deals with us. He talks about it all the time. He wanted to. And I envision that a lot of trade with Russia. They have a lot of valuable things. When you talk about rare earth, they have serious rare earth, right? It doesn't make sense to me. I thought he would want to end this thing quickly. I really felt it was going to end. But every time I think it's going to end, he kills people.
This was about as downcast as we've seen President Trump when it comes to his dealings with Putin. And he said that he doesn't want to have to hit Russia with sanctions and that he loves the Russian people. But he acknowledged that Putin has been saying the things that he wants to hear and then doing the opposite. He also acknowledged his own belief that he'll be able to get this thing to an end might be dimming because he doesn't understand what Putin's doing here and his mindset. But he did leave open the chance that maybe a deal still comes together within that 10 or 12 days, just maybe.
You know, Jackie, it's interesting. This isn't the first time in recent days that we've heard the president talk about those phone calls. And in one, he referenced the first lady, and he said, then she told me, you know, that another building had been hit in Ukraine, and I knew that everything Putin had just said wasn't true. So all of this now seems to have a ramping up effect. We'll get into it with my first guest. Good to see you. Thank you. Steve Moore, former Trump economic advisor. So, Steve, you just heard me saying that this seems to have a ramp up. Talk to me about Russia. I want to know what the president of the United States is about to do to Russia and how that's going to hurt their economy and how fast.
Harris, great to be with you. What Trump is doing with respect to these foreign policy moves is exactly what he has done so successfully with trade deals. He is exerting America's muscle and flexing our muscle and forcing countries to do things that are in America's interest and in the interest of the whole world. So the situation with Russia is very simple when it comes to their economy, Harris. Their entire economy is dependent on selling their oil and gas, and it's also dependent on being able to sell things to the United States in our $20 trillion consumer market. And Trump is saying, look, you're going to lose access to that. We are going to keep out your oil and gas in ways that will really hurt their economy. And I believe this will be a successful strategy. In other words, I think he's going to drag Vladimir Putin to the negotiating table, just as he's done with trade, and say, stop and desist in Ukraine. Let's get a peace deal.
Look, I'm just going to be plain speaking. That's going to be really dependent on whether or not our so-called friends in Europe are no longer duplicitous when it comes to buying Russian oil. Come on, let's get real. We know that they have been doing that.
That's
so
true.
The president's going to have to put pressure on that part, too.
Except, can I just add one thing to that, Harris? You're exactly right, but there's something else we can do that Trump is already doing, but he can turn the spigots on here in the United States.
There you go.
Every time we produce an additional barrel of oil here in the United States or more natural gas, who do you think is hurt the most by that? Russia is.
Yeah, and in interviewing the Secretary of Energy, Chris Wright, who the president has chosen to lead that, come on, let's get us into our independence zone again. Let's get there again. We're seeing some movement. So, all right, so let's move to this. President Trump also addressed that major trade deal with the European Union. Let's watch.
I want to focus on the deal we just made with the European Union, which is the biggest trade deal in history. We've made the big ones. We just finished Indonesia. They opened up their country. We just finished Japan. They opened up their country. Philippines, we just finished. They opened up their country. They were very closed. I'd love to see China open up their country. So we're dealing with China right now as we speak. Yeah, we're dealing with China right now.
Well, all of this comes as revenue from the president's tariffs is surging. In June alone, the U.S. collected more than $27 billion. Look, I don't know what kind of reporting can really skip this, but in some avenues, as you know, in legacy and liberal media, they will skip this. This is a big deal.
A big deal indeed, and as you know, I've been kind of a skeptic of this approach.
I do,
because I don't like tariffs. But I have to say, I mean, you look at what Trump has done. One country after another, whether it's Canada, whether it's Japan, Korea, China. Well, I want to see the fine print on the China deal because I don't trust the Chinese. But now, if you get the big plum here, which is the European Union, I would have thought that this would have been the toughest one to get because the Europeans are protectionists. They discriminate against American technology products. They discriminate against our agricultural products, our automobiles. So this is huge for American workers and the American economy. Now, again, I want to see the deal. I want to see the fine print because I don't know whether these countries will actually, they'll agree to the deal, but whether they will actually. Follow through with it, we will see. But this is incidentally, this is freer and fairer trade. I'm a free trade guy. What Trump is doing is leveraging down all the tariffs around the world. That's a great outcome for everyone.
Look, I want to get to this. It's already been a big 6 months, we know. It's only Monday, and it's shaping up to be a good week for the economy under President Trump. We have trade deals, that major tariff revenue that I just mentioned, $27 billion. His big, beautiful law, as I call it, that has now been putting spending changes and tax cuts, trillions of dollars of investments into the U.S. economy and decreasing gas prices and increasing retail sales. Look, the vice president, J.D. Vance, is in Canton, Ohio, talking about this right now. Let's watch just from moments ago.
What are you doing?
In my Rest Ever Cool Comforter.
What is that?
It's a cooling.
It is so simple. You need a government that works for you for a change. You need a government that makes it easier for your employers and for yourselves to invest and build wealth right here in the United States of America. You need a government that makes your life easier and not harder, and that's what the Trump administration is committed to doing every single day. The big, beautiful bill includes billions and billions of dollars to secure our border, to deport those criminal migrants, and to allow the United States to take control of its country once again and kick those drug cartels the hell out of the United States of America.
Well, there you have it, you guys. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. So there's a lot going on with Russia and Ukraine right now, and you heard them vocalize that Donald Trump is a little bit concerned. He's at a loss right now, you heard them say, because he believed that he was going to be able to come to some sort of an agreement with Russian President Vladimir Putin to get this done. And he said when it seems like they've got some sort of deal, they had a good talk, then he hears later on that same day that they attacked Ukraine yet again. Do you think that Donald Trump is going to be able to come to some sort of an agreement with Russia? If you think so, put peace. If you think no, put war. Let me know your thoughts. But as we heard, the warning's coming out. Russian ex-President Medvedev says Trump's Ukraine ultimatum could lead to war. Trump says he's giving them 10 to 12 days to figure out some sort of ceasefire agreement. And we're hearing that Zelensky has come out and praised Trump on his clear stance for shortening the deadline for Russia. And you also heard them say that all the things that Donald Trump is doing right now is significantly helping out the United States' economy, that the tariffs, you saw the numbers, have been huge. And in fact, we have heard, take a look at this. If you missed it, I shared with you that they said that there could be tariff rebates, money going into the pockets of the American people as a result of the tariffs that are hitting all these other nations. And coming out today, just a couple of hours ago as well, Senator Josh Hawley has introduced the bill to send tariff rebate checks to Americans. Now, stay tuned to the channel. Subscribe if you haven't done so yet, because I'm going to dive into the details of this coming out today, July 28th, 2025. I'm going to come on with another live stream later on and give you all the details about essentially looks like tariff rebate checks. Think like stimulus pandemic checks going out and going into the pockets of the American people. We heard President Donald Trump say he's on board with this. Now we're seeing the bill being presented. We'll see if it goes anywhere from here. But let me know, are you glad to see the way that Donald Trump is handling the conflicts taking place around the nation? Are you glad to see the way he's handling the economy? Are you happy with President Donald Trump so far since he's entered the office? They said the first 6 months. If so, drop a 47 in the comments for support for the Trump administration. Also, if you haven't done so yet, I see we've got over 2,000 people with me live. Take a second, hit the like button. Can we get half of the room to hit the like button? Get that like number over 1,000. That would be awesome if you haven't done so yet. Helps support the channel while we're live. Also, like I said, subscribe to stay up to date. And all these articles I'm referencing, they're hyperlinked in the description. I cite the sources, put it on the screen, read right from it so you can see the dates, see where it's coming from, and know that this is the latest. But we're going to be seeing where we go from here, if Donald Trump is going to be able to work out some sort of an agreement with Russia, or if tensions are going to escalate as we see sanctions put in place. We see these threats being issued of war. Is the United States going to go to war with Russia here very soon? And we've heard the warnings that this could equate to World War III, that this could pull in the United States, NATO, Ukraine, Russia, Iran, China, a lot of these, North Korea, are supporting each other, and we could enter into a global conflict. Let us pray and hope not, but we will see where we go from here. And regardless of what unfolds, I'll be sure to keep you up to date here on the channel so you know exactly what is going on with the latest breaking news. And this is the latest as of today, July 28th, 2025. So if you made it this far and haven't done so already, again, do me a favor, hit that like button, and I'll keep you up to speed on everything. But that is the latest, you guys. Thank you so much for joining me. Stay tuned. I'm going to get you some more updates on that bill that was just released relating to those tariff rebate checks we're hearing could come to fruition. We'll see. I'll keep you up to date. But that is the latest. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care. God bless. I'll catch you in the next one. This is Steve.